Back on a Thursday night, everybody. News Channel 5 Plus. Rory Johnston in the chair for Ben Hall tonight, and we are talking about reducing youth crime. We wish we could just paint one big broad stroke and help solve the problem, but I know, Bishop, that's not always the case. We talked about all the different groups, including yours, but as a resident of Nashville and watching the news every night and working with the juvenile justice system, in your mind, what can viewers do? What can we all do to help, first of all, understand the problem, acknowledge the problem, and then work together to try to, as we say, reduce it and save lives?
Just get more information on what's going on and what programs are available out there. Then, if you can support financially to a lot of grassroots organizations like mine, to help, that would be great. If you could just come and volunteer, that would be great. Talking to some of the city officials and making sure they voice their concerns about what's going on and saying, hey, we need to change some policies or do some more things that would be able to help turn these kids around. So they just get more involved, because this is a community thing, really it is. I always remember growing up, everybody down the neighborhood, if I got in trouble, I would get a spanking from everybody coming all the way up to my granny's house. But that's because everybody cared about you in the community.
It was a village. Same thing in my neighborhood in Houston, Texas. I remember one of my neighbor friends, the mom across the street, she popped me on the backside once when I misbehaved, because she knew that, she's close with my parents, but the doors were always open. We just go in and out of other people's houses, and it was this village that kind of raised us and kept all the parents keeping an eye out for us. In Nashville, there have been discussions on our series Broken about institutional racism, institutional issues, where it goes back to the 50s and 60s when the interstates were built, and it really kind of separated certain communities, economically disadvantaged communities, clustered everybody together in one area kind of neatly, and that has just created a decades-old problem, kind of a cycle. What do you think's happening in some of these neighborhoods? Is it a lack of economic opportunity? Obviously that's one facet, right? There's just not a lot of economic opportunity. There's not a lot of education opportunity, right? That's
true. It's so many different elements, from, as you said, education. When you look at schools and high schools now, teachers don't get paid a lot of money. A lot of them just don't want to work for Metro school, and they're dealing with having to deal with a substitute teacher that's there. They really don't have all of the curriculum that they need to be able to teach. That causes a disconnect between the juvenile and the classroom, which is a big thing. Then you have parents that probably do care. A lot of people say parents are the problem. You got some that might be a part of the problem, but you got a lot of parents that do care, but they're trying to make ends meet.
They're working 2-3 jobs.
Yes, sir. Because you imagine having to pay maybe $1,200, $1,500 a month, along with $100 and some light bill, along with a $35 water bill. Then you got your car note and car insurance, and you got 3 miles to feed at home. That's hard, especially if you're only making $10, $11 an hour. So the job opportunity needs to be there for certain communities. The education need to be there for certain communities. Mental health opportunity need to be there for certain communities, because we're hurting. You're right, there's a divide, where everything is a cluster, and it's just like having a sore. Instead of taking care of the wound, you put a little Band-Aid over it and think that's okay. And that's what has happened over the years. Everybody want to put a Band-Aid over it. Judge Calloway said something that was so profound about 2 years ago at the Martin Luther King thing at TSU. She said, when there was a crack cocaine problem, we got all the resources we could, and we invested so much money and everything into it to try to help that epidemic. When there was an opioid problem, the same thing. We invested money, came up with rehabs, all of this stuff. But now that our kids are going through the crisis they're going through, when are we going to reach back and invest in our youth? Because that's our future.
Excellent. Let's go back to the lines and welcome Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah. Another thing, I watch this program about every night.
Yep.
I'm from another state.
Okay. Just turn your TV down and talk over the phone. I know there's a delay there. It's confusing. Okay.
And a problem I see about these. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Hold on.
Turn that volume down. Yeah, you got it. And just talk through the phone.
Yeah, a problem that I see about going on with these kids in Tennessee is that the parents. I'm in a group that where parents and children is, and I see the mothers here. They sit back and they like the older recipient is more like the parent for the younger kids.
Yeah.
Okay, if the older recipient have not been raised because he's raising the younger student, so he don't know right. He don't know what to teach the younger one. So therefore, that's like 4 kids.
It's a cycle.
Is teaching themselves that don't know right from wrong, and all they do know is what they see going on in the neighborhood and on the TV, because they're not being taught that that's wrong. You don't supposed to do that. You don't supposed to wear your pants down. You don't supposed to cuss. You're supposed to go to bed at a certain time. And all these things, and they're not being taught that, and they're only teaching the younger children is what they know. So a lot of these kids are broken and is in justice center. I'm not saying all the parents is, but since I've been here for 8 months, all I've seen was the older kids raising their siblings while their parents, they are at work, they are just sit back and tell the older child, do this, do that, do this for your brother, do this for your sister, while they sitting down and not teaching the children. So you don't know what to tell them.
Sure.
The older one.
I understand. Hold on right there. Rayvon, you got a younger brother. We were talking about this earlier.
Well, I just want to say I'm one of those kids that the mom isn't really there and I have to take care. You know, grandma can't do everything, so that's why I
have an added responsibility.
Yes, sir. And like she said, you know, I don't sag, curse much or anything like that. But what I do have trouble with is, you know, I have 3 younger siblings. I can't do it all alone.
Right.
And when mom's not there, it makes it harder on me, but I still push to get where I need to get for myself.
And I will tell you this, it's good that you're pushing, and there are going to be times, and you're human, you're going to lose your patience and get frustrated, and that's fine, but as long as you know, maybe go off into another room, breathe deeply for a little bit, get yourself settled, and then you can get back to it. I mean, that's just part of life, but you're learning some key skills. Right. Coping skills, leadership skills, time management, which is huge, especially, you know, when I was my kids were young, a dad of 2 kids, 18 months apart, you know, that's a lot on your plate.
Right.
And I'm the youngest of 6. I don't know how my parents did it with 6 kids running around, 5 boys. So I have a lot of respect for my parents. God rest their souls now. How about you? Go ahead.
My biggest thing, and I say this a lot, is be the change that you want to see. If you want to see kids with their pants up, want to see people in a better life, then you should be that change for them. That's why it plays a big role that these programs are here, because a lot of kids, when they go through these programs, their whole lives are changed. Another reason is have a mentor or someone you look up to, because if you have someone who's pushing you every day to strive to be the best, again, that support system that you're looking for, then you won't have these kids out in the streets with these guns and robbing cars and doing all these negative things. If you have positive in your life, then there's no room for negative.
Fantastic. Bishop, through the 12-week program, not everyone succeeds, right?
No, they don't. They got to be there on time. We need full class participation. We also want to be able to see a change within them.
Do you have maybe people who have started and not succeeded but then come back later and said, I want to try this again? Maybe I'm ready now?
Me and my wife just about a month ago went to eat at Jack's off of Trinity Lane. And while we was in the drive-thru, she screamed loud and scared the lady at the window. She said, "There's Kirkendall," real loud. So he's one of the kids that didn't graduate, but he got it. Yeah. He finally got it, and he was actually there working and doing good. So we've seen several kids that didn't graduate, but it finally sticking. It only takes just planting that seed.
We've got to take another break, everybody. We'll be right back. Stay with us.